Well, it's the Kill Team Casuals. We are back, and it's an exciting time. We've got something a little bit different. We're actually getting our act together, and we're doing close to one of the early people doing a bit of a guide. But before we get stuck in, hello, as always, to Ben from Battle Brothers Tabletop.
That's me, Ben from Battle Brothers Tabletop, in the middle of a thunderstorm. I don't know if you guys could hear that through there, but that's me, and this is the thunder I'm in. Passing it over to Russ from GFN Gaming. That's
I'm about to pass it over to the thunder from Down Under, but first I want to say thank you very much. Oh, that was a tight salute and a tight pass over to Reese, brother. Oh.
The HBK, just happy to be here. Excited. Good to see the chat's already kicking off. We've got Sandy, Drone, Papa Kraken. Welcome to Zach DW as well. Dr. Zero Hour just lurking while he's at work. I love it. Jim Crimmins.
He's a lurker.
A whole bunch of people
to
be in the chat and here for us to talk about the Raveners.
Jim Crimmins.
The smooth Jim
Do you know
Crimmins.
what? Jim Crimmins sounds like increments, like when you're saying I'm measuring in increments, I start saying I'm measuring in Jim Crimmins, and no one knows what I'm talking about. Like I've said it a few times, like, I'm going to measure this in Jim Crimmins, and it's just like nothing. And but that's what I deserve.
Measurement.
That's what I deserve. I'm measuring this in Jim Crimmins. Anyway,
how far is that
nothing
charge?
else.
About 6 Jim Crimmins. It's
6 Jim Crimmins. Yeah, I can probably make it in 3 Jim Crimmins of movements, but nothing's ever happened.
Thank you, to Primaris Painter, subbed again 21 months in a row. That is
what a hero.
Ali.
Thank you
what a hero.
so much for your
support.
What a hero.
Love that dude.
Really appreciate you for the support.
Good dude, good painter.
Good dose.
Just saying. Good dude, good painter.
Best life skills.
Good lover.
Being a good dude.
Good lover. Whoa.
That's the third.
Hey, I hope that's inferring and not. I will. Get it.
I would just assume. I would just assume. I would only assume.
Yeah. Steady hands. I think that translates. I think that translates directly into the love making.
Oh, brother, you're telling me.
Yeah. Oh,
I love it. That's awesome. Well, look, I don't think there's been a team that has been as hyped in the lead up in Kill Team for a long time as
Legionaries. That's right. This is Kill Team Casual.
You know
seventh
what?
Legionary, seventh Legionary How to Play. And we're coming back. We're circling back one more time before they get him out of here. Which marks do you guys like running?
Legionaries video. We must have done at least one.
Yeah,
I feel like this podcast. I feel like this podcast has mostly been Legionary How to Play videos, to be honest.
They're the best.
I talk
still
to
the best.
And you guys are like, do you know what's really good though? Do you know what's still holding up?
You know who's still now become better shooting than Pathfinders. Oh.
Do you know what? I just kit bashed this last week. Yes, it's my 98.
I wish I'd done another Legionary team.
I've made some proxies, guys, for the Vespers. They're actually all Chaos Space Marines now.
Always.
But yes, these guys, apart from obviously the Chaos Space Marines, these guys have been the most hyped. People are very, very excited about them. We talked Tyranids for a long time. We thought it was very unusual they were missing for as long as they were. But then when they arrived, I don't think this is the team we envisioned. I think we were envisioning the classic Gribble horde, or Gene Stealers or something like that. So it was a pretty bold move to go this direction with them.
Yeah, nobody saw this coming. Very cool.
Well, it was all that chameleonic camouflage.
I was hoping for like the
good reference
that has the skin skirt on. I was hoping for a bit of that action.
Isn't it weird? It is kind of weird, isn't it? I think it was like the Roman centurion skirt.
Yeah,
or like the kilt.
Yes, a kilt. Yeah. Combat
I think of it as a skin robe. Skin robe. Yeah. You need to get out of the shower and you tie the towel around your waist and you like roll it up and you tuck it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fall down. Like that's skin. Yeah.
There you go. Zach in the chat just said didn't have most elite teams since Talons on the NID bingo card, and I think that's correct. So let's jump straight.
You think Horde, don't you? You just think Horde.
Always.
You don't think the most elite team in Kill Team. You think Custodes is going to have that mantle forever, and then along come the Raveners.
So we've got 5 operatives that you build your team around, or 5 options in terms of operatives. So you've got always have your Ravener Prime, who's your leader. Then there's 4 operatives selected from the following. So in the box, you can build 5 of them. So you will be not building one. And usually, let's be honest, we always think that's probably the warrior that's getting left behind. But we'll discuss that later.
Yeah, thankfully, this is a true one-box team. The truest one-box team there's ever been.
Oh, do you think so? I don't think it is.
Ooh.
Oh, you're a madman. You're an absolute madman.
I mean, let's be fair.
You're an absolute madman.
We're going to talk about the Warrior because I'm a little bit disappointed about the Warrior. So it is a true one team. Yeah. But if you wanted to, if you wanted to run Warriors, you wouldn't want to. But if you did, it's not a one-box team. Yeah. I'm just thinking, but I don't think you want to run the Warriors.
Let's walk back what you just said. I think what you said was in slightly different words. It's a one-box team. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
I heard it's a one-box team unless you're an idiot. Yeah, what I heard is it's a one-box team unless you're a moron.
Yeah, unless you skipped primary level education.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a one-box team.
And if you did, thanks for listening. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Because we're here to step up.
Show, incidentally, is a word that you cannot spell. But, yeah. I don't think, I think it is a one-box team, technically. Although, I was surprised when I was building them. I was like, there's no room for a warrior. Then I checked the rules, and I was like, there's no room for a warrior. There's no room for a warrior in this team. I think, you know what, I mean, we'll talk about it, but I kind of feel like it's a little bit phoned in with the Warriors. Anyway, we'll talk about it when we get in there, but I would expect more.
I'll tell you what once we get there, I'll tell you what it should have been. I already got it figured out. Yep.
I like it.
Back to you, Reese.
Bold, sir. Bold.
So we've also got the Fell Talon, the Tremor Scythe, a Venom Spitter, a Wrecker, and the most often ignored Warrior as well. So we'll get to the
old
actual
home
data
wrecker
sheets a little bit later in, but that's your choices. And then with the archetypes, we're running with Infiltration and Seek and Destroy. What do you think of those archetypes of these boys? Is that the double thumbs down?
I will say that this may be the single. I'll say it. This is the bummer about this team.
Wow.
It's the single worst TAC-op combination in the game that you can have. That is Infiltration, Seek, and Destroy. There is no other... If you want, we don't have time for it, but if you want to workshop it, you can walk through. There is no other combination that is worse, in my opinion.
Yeah. If you draw two,
what this boils down to...
I would say, though, that this team is probably one of the more qualified teams for Seek and Destroy. I'm thinking Overrun and Champion. I think you're pretty solidly not going to get killed. I mean, I like some objectives. But I think if any team is going to get Seek and Destroy, the fact that these are 3 APL monsters that can hang in combat, you can move. You can. I don't know. I think maybe they've got a chance to do Overrun quite safely, and they're probably not going to die too quickly for your Champion. You can pick pick presumably. You know what? I've not read. This is, the first snag is, Reese. I'm gonna say I don't know if you have to pick an operative that's currently on the kill zone to be your champion or not. Ooh. If you don't have to, this team. You know what? I'm gonna check it live.
Do it live. That's a good question.
I'm gonna check it because if you don't, this might be the best team to take champion with, because the threat of champion is you lose that champion before you do it. Select one friendly operative to be your champion. Doesn't have to be on the kill zone. I think this might be one of the better teams to take champion with, because you can protect him and then hop up.
Yeah. So you can select champion and then give your opponent some time to move off the tunnel. Yes, I see.
Make a run.
Well,
I see.
I mean, hey. Do I want recon with this team? You're damn right I want recon with this team. Do I want security with this 3 APL team? You're damn right I want security with this 3 APL team.
You know it.
But I've got infiltration, which is part of me. I know people are going to say wiretap because you can pop up and do it. But I mean, I still thematically like Implant, because it feels like Implant is the only one that sounds like a NID thing.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's sort of like, and I know that's not the reason you pick attack up, but with 5 attacks, and we'll get into it later, you are getting Implant with this team. You would get, but then you're not maxing kill. You're not maxing kill, but then if you can max tack, maybe you don't need to. You can sacrifice the point on kill. But yeah, I'm just drawn to Implant because it's such a NID thing to do. I just
very
like
thematic, isn't it? Yeah,
it's very thematic, which is again not the way you should play in a tournament, but maybe you should play casual games.
Yeah, maybe you should just play with some mates, okay? Just enjoy the game.
Not everything's a tournament game, guys. Reese,
that's true.
God damn it.
This is true.
Sorry, I do.
Stop cool your chickens, Reese.
Stop shoving tournaments down our throats, Reese. Yeah.
God almighty,
it's not always
Reese.
about that.
I'm out of control.
It's not always about you.
Makes me sick. Anyway. As we were.
Speaking of making you
How
sick,
can your wife look at you anymore?
She doesn't. It's just easier that way. Speaking of things that make you sick, let's have a look at the faction rules here. So this is
such a lot of faction rules.
It's I was about to say,
oh boy,
it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like there's a lot.
You got like 3 rules.
Yes.
I mean, 2 of them are basically. You know what? I mean, they must have been paid by the subtitle because burrow and tunnel are the same rule. You know what I mean? Like, why are they given 2 different? It's the same rule.
Just giving you dot points so you feel like it's like it's breaking it down. That's all. Because
exactly,
it is, when you first look at it, it's a lot of text. Like that is literally in the book. It is the entire page. You are kind of like, wow, this is a bit to unpack, but it breaks down quite. I think it's like it makes sense once you read it. You go, oh, okay, It's more trying to avoid, I think, people doing crazy, weird things and breaking it. I think this is one of those rules that there's a lot of margin for people taking advantage for it if they got the wording wrong.
I mean, there's some nuance to this thing I've been wrestling with.
We can get into that.
I've come out on the other side, and I think I know what the answer is.
Please don't suck us back into this psychic nightmare. I beg of you, please. Not live. Don't do it to our listeners, please.
I won't do it to the listeners. I promise.
But Russ
had spent steer this ship. I was going to filibuster this thing.
Very upset.
I was going to. Whoo.
So part 1 of the faction rules is burrow. So basically, you have to set up your first 2 operatives as normal. And then everyone after that can be set up underground. Elements of Wormblade going on here.
What's underground mean, Reese? That's not even a thing.
I'm glad you asked. I'm sure there's a keyword somewhere in the.
You're welcome. Isn't it weird that underground isn't a keyword?
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
It'd be like strategic reserve, or like what's the kill team equivalent of strategic reserve or deep strike?
There's not Anyway, interesting. Carry
on. But basically, those operatives that are underground, and operatives obviously have, as the game goes on, can go pop back in and out, and they use the action for 1 AP burrow to do this. So you spend 1 AP if the operative's underground. You set it up on your tunnel, and we'll talk about what the tunnel means in a second.
What's a tunnel, Reese?
Can be placed.
Sorry.
It's considered no longer underground, and it can be set up within control range of enemy operatives, which is very nice. So kind of a pseudo charge if you need it. And until the end of the activation, though, or the counteraction, they have to subtract 2 from their movement stat. Very important not to forget that, right, Russ?
Huh?
Exactly. And then alternatively...
Sorry, I'm responding to the chat.
It was a call out to your wonderful bat rep, which you should all check out. If you haven't, GFN does have a bat rep up with both these teams. I was just giving you a bit of stick for your operative there.
A little bit of a plug.
Forgot to subtract the 2 inches of movement there. So.
Oh, no, I did that once, yeah. Ultimately, it wouldn't have changed the bat rep because I would have done something in a counter action, but still, it's good to remember your rules. Remember your rules.
And then alternatively, instead of resolving the above effect, if the operative is in the kill zone and on your tunnel, they can remove from the kill zone back to everyone's favorite underground. And you can't perform this, as a note, if you're carrying a marker. So just noted, you can't pinch an objective and then tunnel away.
So I don't think this team can pick up markers because they don't have recover item. What markers would they have?
Is there any objectives
there must be a mission. There must be a mission where you can pick up.
Isn't there the mission where it counts down, like you search 1, search 2, and then the third is the objective you can make a run?
Oh, maybe. You know what? There's too many missions. I know this isn't the video for that, but there are too many missions. Like there's like 9. That's too many missions. Anyway, carry on.
That's true.
So now, in conjunction with that burrow, now it's important to see where that works with, and that's where you tunnel. So you get your little tunnel tokens, and if you're going to play these guys, you better get good at understanding this stuff. But basically, each turn in the strategy phase, you're basically placing down. You start with 1 marker in your first turn, and then you extend it out, and then obviously there becomes a tunnel between those 2 markers, and then each turn you extend that further and further throughout the battlefield as the game goes on, which is an interesting mechanic. It reminds me a little bit of the Aquilons, a little bit of its like
very similar,
flexibility, but it also does call your shots a little bit.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think that's I think that is a little bit. If we, I know we'll probably get into it later, but if we were to just looking at the faction rules describe a weakness, I feel this is the biggest weakness,
Very
the telegraphed. Yeah. And the thing is, there's no way to increase your movement after you pop out. So there is either they're going to move and dash after this -2 movement, or they're going to try and charge you. So I feel like you probably can use these markers to basically pre-measure and be like, well, I'll be out of range. So it's interesting. It's a real interesting team. But I think potentially to make sure you've got threat saturation, you don't want everyone in a tunnel. Even though it's cool as hell, you probably want some bodies out of those tunnels.
Yeah, we talked about it last week a little bit too when we were looking into the crystal ball of this thing, I guess of the mechanics of this and what it was going to do. I was surprised watching your bat rep.
We had some good guesses, didn't we?
And fantastic guesses.
And some bad guesses, which is surprising.
But again, Russ, to plug your bat rep watching, I was surprised by Turning Point 4, how it kind of, no spoilers of the tunnel, but how much ground. It did cover a lot of ground by the end. Like, I know we talked a lot about just avoid it, but it is quite interesting. Once you add in the fact of how far the units can charge out of it, it can still add a really large amount of control throughout the game. Unlike the Aquilons, which is kind of over after a few turns, this stays dangerous or in play the whole game.
What was it? It's 5 inches. It's 25 inches of tunnel length, right?
Yeah.
That's how it boils out, because you put one down in the you have 5 tunnel markers, right?
4. Is it 4?
Oh, 4 tunnel markers. Okay.
Well, no, there is 5 because you place 0 at the very beginning, but it's at your board edge. So it's weird because obviously long length, your first token doesn't even cover your deployment, because your deployment's generally 6 inches and the first one's an inch behind, whereas hot dog length, I don't know what the other, horizontally, you get a lot more. By the end of the turn, if you were just going straight down the middle, you'd almost be to the other side. But presumably your opponent's still not in the other side unless they're Pathfinders, in which case, dig away. But you really want those short end, long end deployment zones to max how much threat range you're going to get out of the tunnel, I think.
And important to note too, obviously you're getting the markers in the set that you use to expand the tunnels, but obviously, you've got to account for, it's not just the markers itself, it is obviously the tunnel, as the name would suggest, is between those markers. So it ends up, being said
just
really
a sequential, 0 to 1, 1 to 2. Goes around. So it's cool.
When you pop out on the
very cool.
On the topic of charging out of them, like you do lose 2 inches, but
7-inch charge is still good.
And then you have a 40 mil base, so it's like you pop out. You just have to be touching the tunnel line. It's not like you have to come out on top. You can kill team, cheese it out, and to be just partially on the line. And a 40 mil base is, kill team. That's about as big as it gets, right? So even though it's only 7 inches popping out of that, it's pretty crazy because, again, you spawn anywhere on that line and then have 7 inches. So, if your opponent, which I think one of the downsides of this team is that you're just going to smash noobs so incredibly hard.
Yeah,
like I think this team is just gonna beat the mid tables to death. You know what I mean?
Think
like
so,
just mercilessly. But then struggle at the top tables is what is my guess.
We mentioned it before, but I feel like it's going to be another Wreckers. Yeah, I think we bet like the opposite. That'll be better in Into the Dark and worse on the open board. But I think it's going to be a Wreckers situation. Like I think we just we had this conversation. But, in the
it's
chat.
incredibly fun. This team is so fun. Thank you to GW for supplying us with the boxes, so we could get some insider information early on. But like this team is so much fun to play. I know we'll get there, but to move your token, even when it's like, well, as soon as I get off my tokens, it feels like my team starts to fall apart a little bit. It's so much fun, and again, like you also don't want to sleep on them because just the raw stats are still pretty good.
Yeah,
it reminds me a little bit of Galapox as well. Like no one's worried in the big meta game about Galapox, but
I miss them being mint.
When
really
when the
do.
4 Hulksters are storming up the board.
F that team forever. F that team to the grave. I hope we never see their return. I'm so glad. I will be dancing on their grave the day they're taken away. I hate that team so much.
I think they'll come back because they're only really in Kill Team.
Wow.
But
the moment they
have to come back. Why not?
The day they come back is the day I quit Kill Team. I'll say
Volgoth Thrice Curse. Such a good
my
team.
weakness, I will quit.
Wow. Such vitriol, such hatred towards Galapox.
Do you remember when they came out, dude? Do you remember the dark days when they came out?
I remember Legionary still had great play into them.
That's the vibe it gives me though, Ben, is Galapox, the big bodies, the not being able to get enough damage through. Like, and again, as you said, at the top table, maybe not as big a concern, but for a lot of players or new players, I think they're gonna be real hard to deal with.
I mean, they've got some gotchas, haven't they?
Yes,
like
that's it.
Yeah,
it feels like a team based. Yeah, like I feel bad, like because it's a team that, like, do you remember, like, Phobos and Novitiates had that kind of like their entire rule is kind of a gotcha, so you can't really take it back because you're like, I'm sorry, my we'll get into it, but like the Tremor site to be like, you can't take that move back because my move interrupts your move. Yeah. So it's like it feels like a real learning curve for a new player to be like, right, okay, you charged me on my tunnel. I've got a million rules now. I'll fight first, I'll X, I'll Y, and then you came anywhere near it, bang. I mean, it does feel like a team that's got some built-in gotchas that are, I mean, easily avoidable, but if you haven't read about them or heard about them, exactly, it's going to be a rough game. Again, it's going to be a rough game mid-tables.
Well, there you go. There's also a great proxy. A few people say in the chat, you could just also do the Galapox the Raveners now. There you go.
That'd be sick, dude.
Is there 5 Hulks?
No,
4. No, there's only 4.
Be creative.
You have to make another. I love that one. Is that Drone? Of course it's Drone.
It's Drone.
King of the Kit Bash. Yeah. No, that'd be a great one. Yeah.
I would like to do 5 different chaos spawn conversions. Would be pretty sick.
Interesting.
That would be very cool.
And it's warp tokens, like these little warp buttholes that spawn all over the board.
Like portals that they just erupt out of. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Okay, so Drone, you're gonna have to think of how they're turning up out. And I guess they would still be portals, wouldn't they? The Galafield failures.
Some warp anuses for them to pop out.
Galafield failures. Yeah.
Now, the last part of their rule set finally is Predatory.
Oh god, we're not even there.
We're not even. Oh my god.
We're 24
minutes. Man alive, we're going to be here all night.
Got fired up. Man alive. It was one of you two. But during
quick fire.
Friendly Ravener operative's activation, it can perform 2 fight actions. Each friendly operative can counteract regardless of its order, and whenever it does, you can change it. You can change its order first, or change its order instead of performing an action. For the later, still treat as having counteracted this turning point. Big
money in the bank, brother.
Yeah, and
money in the bank.
If it doesn't perform a mission action, it can perform a free burrow action.
So, when you read that, when you say you can change its order first or change its order instead, and for the latter, treat it as having contract. So you can change its order and then do an action, or just decide to change its order. I mean, that's super good. And if you don't do a mission action, you can change its order, fire, or do something, and then burrow for free. I mean, that's a whole bunch of stuff you're doing. You can
so
have been
incredibly
hidden,
good.
change to engage, shoot, and then burrow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah, insane.
I think it has to be the best counteracting team going, but it should be for a 5 operative team. Like, it has to be, right?
It has to have something, yeah. But as you said, if you don't know this team, if you're not prepared for them to be able to do so much in the counteraction as well, you'll be like, oh, great, I've got them to counteract. I'm going to get extra shots in, or I'm going to do this thing, and all of a sudden those operatives just start disappearing or moving, or it keeps them in the game well beyond having 5 operatives. That feeling of having 5 operatives, which is really, really, I think, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it feels like this. No, like you need to know this, because if you go into this team and you think, well, I'm just gonna wait until he's done all his activations and then start hitting back, it's like as soon as you wait for them to counteract, they're gonna start popping down again, and then it's like, ooh, I should have acted a bit sooner, maybe. While he's like, it's an interesting thing to think about. Like, how do you play against them? They're gonna be maybe deploying 2 operatives, and then what? That's it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It dictates that play a little bit, doesn't it? It's like you've got to think beyond.
Yeah.
I've got to push them to counteract, and then I'm kind of in control for the next 6, 7 activations. I'm like, no, they stay very, very active and could ruin your plans very, very easily. All right. Well, let's move on. Finally, we've got through that. Well done, everybody.
What's up next?
We're on to some strategic ploys, whatever you want to say it. We'll walk through these one by one, but we'll try and get through them. Maybe
let's jog.
Let's
jog through.
We'll have a yog, a soft J.
Yoga.
Death from below is the first, not too soft. Whenever a friendly operative is fighting, if it's performed the burrow action during the activation / counter action, its melee weapons have the balanced weapon rule. If it's on your tunnel, melee weapons have the ceaseless rule. So
it's good.
The thing begins of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think the problem is, this is going to be more effective late game when you're able to extend your tunnel and still be able to fight on your tunnel. Because I think if people are playing into you, they should be avoiding a tunnel, because you got ceaseless. Like, if they don't need to be on your tunnel, they're not going to be. But for balanced, for having burrowed, and you're probably going to be burrowing turn 2 onwards, balance isn't bad. Like, balance is a decent one, especially as you're a 5 attacks hitting on 3s kind of operative. Decent.
Exactly. And I said, naturally your rolls are pretty good. So I said, this is just ironing out any chances of that whiffing. Next up, Whipcord Emergence. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting, whenever an enemy operative is shooting a friendly operative, if that operative has performed the burrow action during that turning point, you can re-roll one of your defense dice. If that friendly operative is on your tunnel, you can re-roll any of your defense dice. Seeing a theme again. 5
solid,
saves pretty much across the board. 1 operative with a 4+. So you're gonna need the re-rolls on those saves, because yes, you've got a lot of wounds, but it can stack pretty quickly with people putting damage through on you, especially with like just consistent bolter fire and stuff like that.
I mean, it's solid. You are going to get shot. You are going to be, as we go into it, you are going to be able to take cover from your tunnel. So being able to get relentless defense on your tunnel is nice. Yeah. The worst thing about this, and it is terrible, is the name, Whipcord Emergence. I just don't like it.
I like the name on this one. I like this one.
Explain it to me.
Whipcord Emergence. It's like a whip, like this. They're popping out. They're it's
why does that let you re-roll your saves?
Yeah, like Whipcord Emergence would sound like they should get -1 to hit you.
It's offensive. It sounds to me.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you're
popping up in such a frenzy and a fury. You're sitting bits of concrete and quickcrete left and right. There's dust. The dust is settling. The dust is settling. They can't quite get a read on you because you're popping up and doing crazy things. Yeah, they can't get a read on you. It's awesome.
It made me think of, when you used to have the old vacuum cleaners and you'd step on the thing that would like suck the cord back into the vacuum cleaner. Did you get that? And it like whips back in. That's where I was.
Yeah. I think they've got another strategic ploy that sounds like Whipcord Emergence or Whipcord Demergence. I have no idea what the Whipcord Retreat. There you go. Is the one right out of sight.
Right out of sight. This is their best ploy, in my opinion. This one is so incredibly good.
This is a great one.
So, right out of sight, let's one friendly operative can immediately perform a free burrow action. If it's within 2 inches of your tunnel, it can immediately perform a free fallback or reposition action before it does. So if you've, I guess, charged off your tunnel, this is basically meaning you can kind of jump back in and then escape effectively from being locked into combat.
I mean, the fact that this happens in the strategic phase is just buck wild, and I think something that you like is a major theme of this is that. Sorry, my wife just came in and like a wrecking ball and unplugged all my things here. Anyways, is that this is a big initiative team. Like how initiative rolls go really decide what you're going to play and how you're going to set up the turn. Because like you don't always want the rerolls when you pop out, but sometimes you do. You don't always want the defense saves when you're like, but sometimes you do. And this one, just what this one lets you do is if you can play around your tunnel, which is what this team needs to do, is you got to be able to stick around your tunnel. Like you lose initiative, okay, I'm back down in the tunnel. Or let's say you win initiative, but you're on your tunnel somewhere else, can set up a charge on the other side of the board that they couldn't even really prepare for. So, you know, or foresee. So the potential damage and like life-saving capabilities of this ploy, this is the money ploy, in my opinion. Like to be able to get out of a combat 14 inches away and jump in somewhere else, like that's just kind of nuts to me.
Well, that's it.
I think it's because you can.
Oh, sorry, just go on.
Oh no, I was going to say because obviously this is a strategic ploy, so you know you've won initiative. You then place your next tunnel marker. So you're like, right. I think the tunnel marker might be the greatest thing about this team because if your opponents push forward, you place another tunnel marker, giving you a whole bunch of other targets, and then you ride out of sight with an operative that they think they might have got locked up. They're like, we're going to lock this guy up. You ride out of sight, and then that threat that they've locked up there is now open on this side of the board and just wreaks havoc. So I do really think this is kind of like their all-star S-tier strategic ploy from this team, I think. If we were ranking them.
Yeah, I think Russ, you said basically exactly what I was going to say. That thing of you're thinking you've moved your opponent one way, and that the ability for them to go, actually, I made a mistake, or that's a bad matchup for me, and get somewhere else and swing that balance, especially with only 5 operatives. Yeah, definitely ride out of sight is gold for sure. Lastly, we've got tunnel lurkers. Whenever a friendly Ravener operative is on your tunnel, it's in cover unless it's within 2 inches of that active operative. Treat this as cover provided by light terrain. Therefore, it's affected by seek light and vantage terrain. So
immediately, like Into the Dark comes to mind on this one. Like this one is going to be pretty situational, but when it's good, hey, it's going to be very good. Yeah, and you'll be rerolling all of your 5-ups. So like, hey, that's when it is worth it. It'll be worth it, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this ties in well with the equipment as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah, for sure.
We will get to that equipment as well. Yeah. So there you go.
It's good to remember this one. Yeah.
Strategy ploys. Let's jump across now. We've got some firefight ploys.
You know what? I'm not a massive fan of the firefight ploys. I know I'm saying that as we go in. I think they've got 2 good ones, but it's so dependent on tunnel that I'm just sort of like, if someone's playing well, but if someone's playing well against you, that's why I don't like. If someone plays well against you, you're not going to get hardly any of these.
Well,
and it's such a risk.
That's just the nature of like, if you cannot play this team on your tunnel, then
there you go.
Woof! Like you're just gonna lose because you have 0. You're basically, if you are off of your tunnel, you're a compendium team. Is essentially what you are. Like
you don't have a lot of special rules.
Yeah. If you're off your tunnel, you're an NPC. Is sort of the long and short of it. And so you just gotta watch out. But I mean, this team is the definition of situational, kind of. Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I think most
danger.
Yeah, I think you've got like 4 firefight ploys and 2 strategic ploys that are situational, which is kind of crazy for a team. You don't get a lot of those teams. You get like, there's not just a scratch, which you get, which is just so universally awesome. There's not. I mean, we'll go into it. Let's not go into. Yeah. Let's not say what they've not got. Let's just say what they have got.
And then we'll talk about.
That's going to take less time.
So up first for the firefight ploys, slithering evasion. That's much more on point with the naming conventions here. I like that. So using this firefight ploy during a friendly operative's activation or counteraction, during the operative can perform the fallback action for 1 less AP, so falling back in a counteract again, another way to do it, and not have to be in the tunnel. Perform the charge action while within control range of an enemy operative, and can leave that operative's control range to do so, but then normal requirements for that move apply. What do we think there? That's a interesting, the charge from one charge to the other charge, bit of a slingshot, is very interesting.
When it's gonna be good, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
I hate to keep saying that, but like it's not gonna come up every game. Because a lot of the times you want to be killing the first thing. Like, how about instead of leaving, how about you kill the first thing and then charge? You know what I mean? Like, so you really have to be, but when it's good, it's going to be good. Yeah, I'll shut up because I'm talking a lot. But yeah, like that's, I think what it's at is that you want to kill the thing you're in combat with so then you can charge again. But like, again, when it comes up, it's going to be probably, a back-breaking play.
Would we prefer if this was more like the second charge, like a bit like Felgor, where it's like, kill one and then
I'd love that.
Follow up.
I'd love that.
Is that probably something that would? I mean, obviously that's a silly. I'm answering my own question. Yes, that's way better. But I mean, but it's also because this is an interesting thing of, as you said too, when you do get into combat with most things, you with the close combat sets, you are killing most things. Like short of some of the bigger heavy hitters, like any 10 wound or less team, you're probably killing most things.
See, it's a weird thing to give a team that's 3 APL that has built-in fight twice, because you could fight, charge, and then fight again.
Yeah.
Like it's an odd one, because as soon as you fall back for 1 less AP, you're not a shooting team. So why are you falling back? Are you falling back to bop? And then what else once you're stationary? You've not got a lot of shooting, so the scenario where you fall back, bop, and then shoot is quite low. And then to charge while within control range, you charge and then fight twice on another target. I guess maybe, but like it's a team it's odd. I mean, it's good. The thing is, this rule is awesome for any other team that's not 3 APL. When you look at this, you're like, damn, falling back for 1 APL is great, because then I can still do something. This team can do something anyway, and then performing a charge while in control range is awesome. But this team can fight twice and is great in combat. So you could fight, charge, fight anyway. So it's an odd one. I think it will, like Ben says, it's going to be situational where you're like, oh, damn, I actually can fall back, bop, and then shoot, because there's some decent shooting. But like that will actually get me more point. And it's going to be one of those ones where it's like, it's somehow better than fighting, moving, and then shoot. Yeah. So it's an odd one. It's an interesting one.
I guess it probably does help. With 5 operatives though too, is it back to dictating the game as well? I guess it's like if they deliberately trying to tie up the key operatives with their trash, you get to go, well, actually no, that's not the combat I'm here for. So I guess it does stop you just getting bogged down with guardsmen or something, or not the operatives you want to be killing. So I get its place, but I feel it's if we're talking tiers, it's probably like a C tier. Like in its moment, it's fantastic, but it could have been a lot better. All right, moving on to the next one. We've got Subterranean Horror. So use this.
This should be better.
All right, and moving on. Subterranean Horror. When an enemy operative is performing the fight action, it selects a friendly operative on your tunnel to fight against. In the resolve attack dice tab of that sequence, you resolve the first attack dice, i.e. defender instead of attacker. So this I
got a little bit of a take on this.
Okay, go on, Ben.
Sorry. I guess I simultaneously walked on both of your toes there. I apologize.
You did get called out in the chat before. James B, welcome to the chat, did say, I'll shut up because I'm talking a lot. Then proceeds to continue talking a lot. So you've already been called out. You've already been called out in the chat. So
I don't even give that man a medal.
It's in the YouTube chat. So
the YouTube. Well. Yeah. That's pretty good. Get
that man a t-shirt.
That's what we're all here for, right? To listen to me talk. So it's kind of like this ploy is weird because in a vacuum, this is soul-shatteringly awesome.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: what do you know of in the game? How many operatives want to charge you?
Yeah.
When you're at 20 wound, 5 attacks, they need to be double shooting you anyway. So this is, in my mind, this is you just holding up a sign for all the intercessors across the board, like, hey, don't charge me, just shoot me twice. That's what this guy's like saying. Just shoot me instead. This play should just be called "Shoot Me Instead." So it's just kind of weird. It feels like a weird fit to me.
What about close combat teams though? What about like a Felgor?
I just don't think they're going to charge you. Are they going to charge you on your tunnel? I still think even then, why would they charge you on your tunnel unless they're literally throwing away an attack to make you use this? But if they charge a full wound into a full wound, I mean, I don't know. The fact that it's limited to your tunnel does just make there's other teams that get this.
That's the bummer.
It is a bit of a bummer because you could go an entire game if someone's like I say, you use this every game in the bottom to mid tables. As soon as you get to the top tables, like so to speak, like you don't get to use this. Like I don't imagine a scenario where someone's like, I actively engage you on your tunnel. Even if my shooting's terrible, I'm gonna move and throw a crack grenade. Yeah. Like I'll take crack grenades against you. I'll do so. Like it just seems weird. It seems like too much emphasis being put on the tunnel. That like if it was only a few, but the fact that you then become I know Ceases technically only if you're the attacker, so you wouldn't be Ceases in the scenario where someone charges you on your tunnel because you're not. But like you go first. I don't know if you. Yeah, it's just a bit of a bummer that you have to be on your tunnel. Bummer.
Yeah. I'd say, a few people, it's actually interesting. I've got a lot of people excited in the chat talking about it, but like, so skews melee out of the match completely for some teams, i.e. Exaction, Felgor, or Gore. But then also some people are saying Angels of Death are a hard counter to that with their parry twice. Subductors
Duelist
with the Arbetes are another option of being able to get in there and just parrying things out. So it's interesting. There's definitely, I can see as it be contentious for some because it is that thing of we know, as we said, so many of the rules are tied to the tunnel. Most of the time they're going to be on the tunnel, so you're getting this off pretty consistently against close combat teams. I guess Felgor going to have to start using those auto pistols a little bit more regularly.
Maybe.
You know what's also weird? I feel like we're as critical. Yeah, true. Why we need them? For as critical as we are, it's still a cool and fun and good team. I want to preface that.
Yeah. It's an awesome team.
It's just, I feel like there's some odd sort of odd choices.
Yes.
It just seems like that feels kind of strange. Like it doesn't make it bad, but it feels kind of strange. Like that's kind of the level that they're at. It's odd.
Yeah. It's all right. Well,
I was expecting, I don't know, we're going to go into this when we get into the equipment, but like a more Plague Marine thing where you can just for like a Firefight PoE, make your acid blood equipment more useful, like to do D3 every I don't know, stuff like that. Where this feels like too much tunnel based, too much tunnel action. I know it's like a gimmick, but it's getting gimmicky. Like it shouldn't always be about the tunnel.
Yeah, interesting. All right, we'll move on to the next one. Burrowing Strike. So use this Firefight PoE when an operative performs the burrow action before that operative is removed from the kill zone or after setting it up on your tunnel. Inflict D3 +1 damage on each enemy operative within its control range. You cannot use this ploy in the strategy phase or during a Fell Talon operative's activation or counteraction if it performs a toxic lunge. So we think that from what I can see, that's a bit of avoiding a double up on some mortal wounds.
Well, you know what the problem with this is it's also tied to a tunnel.
Yeah.
Like, I think if there's ever a team that said ignore it's this team, because it's just so linked to a tunnel because you can only perform the burrow on a tunnel. So if you've managed to charge someone, like I have no idea why you would do it. You charge an operative on a tunnel. Let's say they strike first, they don't kill you, and you're like, oh well, at least I survived. But then they could just burrow in counteraction.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they could fight in counteraction, but they fight in counteraction, and let's say you've charged them with 4 operatives to make this really worthwhile, and then you disappear and do D3 +1. Like I don't like these kind of rules. Yeah, I don't like these. Yeah, like you need to have multi-charged someone on a tunnel. Like I think for this to have happened, your opponent has to make a series of poor decisions. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of built on your opponent making a series of bad decisions. Well, yeah, it's like multi-charge me, because D3 +1 on one operative is not great. And I know potentially it takes the last wound off someone.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, but you can't use it in the strategic phase, so you can't use it in Writher way, which I think would make it better. If you could do it for free, get out of dodge and do D3 +1, that would almost be like, okay, that's not bad. That's kind of like a little bit saucy extra. I don't know.
It's like this team needed 2 tunnels, but if they have 2 tunnels, they destroy the game, right? Like 2 tunnels makes this team unstoppable, but 1 100%. Tunnel is not enough. It's odd.
It's avoidable. That's the problem.
They needed some form of like a ploy, whether strategy or firefight, where it was basically like a once per game or something, like or an equipment or like a free teleport nearly, like to make like a separate
E-Day. I wanted E-Day. Yeah, where they just emerge like Gears of War. There's just a random one that they pop out of.
Like it's surprise, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of a fancy 40k.
Once per battle?
Yeah, that's it.
I would have taken that. Once per battle, add 1, and then just do it. Yeah, outside of 6 inches of an operative.
Yep. Yeah. So like all of a sudden you're not just, as you said, you're
That'd
not
be very cool.
The predictability, but you're also not getting, as Ben was saying, you can't, if you can get it so you could have 2 tunnels dig into 2 objectives, well, you're going to win pretty much every game. Like, that's borderline impossible to play.
You know what? Maybe that would have been a thing. Like, because you know how Aquilons basically have 2 tunnels, but then they take them away and say, finally, this is the one I'm going to use. Maybe that would have been better. Like, having multiple tunnels, but until you use one of them, they're like, it could be either one, and then be like, okay, that's the one I'm using. And then, I don't know if that'd be... But yeah, it just feels like they're very tunnel dependent, and that means it's easier to prepare and counter. It feels like you can just avoid a tunnel.
What if your opponent, you could have more tunnels, but your opponent could spend AP to collapse them or something, or like remove a marker?
I love that.
Like drop a grenade in there and, something like that. So it's like you can run the risk of spending AP to slow them down, or you let them just go nut. Like, it takes a bit of control away, but I don't know.
There's narrative missions in the book that are kind of like that. You can drop like a bomb in like this node that stops them spawning and stuff like that.
Yeah, there you
go. It's very thematic, but I guess that what they've got to do is make a team that's thematic and make a team that works in all the world of Kill Team as well. And that's real difficult. Like they have a tough job, because you've got to make a team interesting, but you've got to make it viable, and you've got to make it good, but not too good, but not too bad. It's the sweet spot is so hard.
And in a game of action economy, if you were then going to your opponent, that's fine, you can blow the tunnels up, but you're like, but then I'm not planting beacons. Tapping an objective. I think it would be frowned upon. All right, last one. We've got Death Frenzy. So use this firefight ploy when a friendly operative is incapacitated. Before they're removed, they can inflict D3 damage on each operative within its control range. If that friendly operative is the Venom Spitter, that's currently benefiting from the effect of its distended dorsal sac, inflict 2 D3 instead.
Is D3 enough? I don't like a firefight ploy that relies on you losing one 5 operatives. Like, this is only useful when you lose one of your 5 operatives, and I guess there's a scenario in which case it is key, like you're having a real clutch battle and you're like, I'm dead and I need to do, and the thing is, if for this to be clutch, you need to do 1 damage, because a D3 is so bad. Like a D3, the swing on a D3 is like, imagine if you spend a CP to do 1 damage. Like, that's just objectively bad. I feel like, the annoying thing is you get teams like Goremongers who for an action can do 2d3, heals wounds back. Doing 2d3 damage when a massive monster out of which you have 5 blows up, it's only going to happen twice, like 4 times. It's not going to happen turning point 1. It's going to happen turning point 2, 3, and 4, maybe. And a D3, I'm not doing it. Like a D3, it's not, there's not, like, I would have probably used something else. And this is bizarrely the only one that's nothing to do with a tunnel. Like, I almost feel like this is the only one if I want to keep someone alive, I'm going to keep them on my tunnel. They have to come towards me. Hell, if they're within a tunnel, anyone within 2 inches gets 2d3 damage. Then it's maybe worth it to me to play. But at this point, D3, I just find it so it feels like a bit of a waste of a CP to me. Guys, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me there are always clutch scenarios. Obviously, there's always a clutch scenario. But I just feel like it's just a bit, you have to have already done the Descend Dorsal Sac to get the 2d3, and even then 2d3 between 2 and 6 damage.
What if it was a D3 plus situation? So it's like, it's still D3 because sometimes 2d3, if you knock it off 6, pretty much every time you die.
That 6 is awesome, yeah.
So it's like, if you get that, but so maybe is it D3 plus 1 or D3 plus 2? So as you said, so you don't get the bottom out of hitting
plus 1 would be great.
D3 plus 1. Yeah,
would be great. It's just another case of when this is good, it's going to be very, very good. You know what I mean? Like, there's this sort of niche world where your Venom Spitter has his dorsal sac distended, and he's on 3 wounds, and you can charge into 2 or 3 operatives because your opponent had a bad night, before. And but also here's the thing, like, it's just going to be hard to avoid this team. Excellent players will be able to do it, but your distended dorsal sac guy will charge out, die, do 2d3 on a couple models, and that feels pretty cool. So but again, when it's good, it'll be really good. Not in every game or every turn situation, but
it's interesting with
which is just the nature of the team.
The Distend Dorsal Sac too, it is noted that it's going to be benefiting from the effect, so it's not like you can have done it last turn and you're waiting for the next activation. It's still going to be, I guess, in effect. So that won't always happen. You might have, maybe if they've done it for a counteract, setting up for the next turn or whatever. But that doesn't make it interesting. They've got to still be currently benefiting from the effect. So makes it another little hoop to jump through to get that 2d3 as well. All right, let's move on to
maybe that is something you always do in counteract.
Yeah, that's
maybe that's something like you try and do in counteract. So you pop it so you can be geared up. So you got 3 APL and have the Descended Dorsal Sac.
Yeah, maybe. That's what I thought would be the
interesting way to run them,
because it's until the next time you do it. So you may as well spend the counteract, be prepped, and then you've got 3 APL to be dangerous with it next turn, which makes it interesting. Let's jump into the equipment. We'll move on, hopefully for you, Russ, from the disappointment of that, and let's hopefully find the equipment is a little bit more exciting.
Equipment's great. Spoilers.
I love the lead in, Russ. It's like, it's like a hook for the thing. It's like, this is really good. Tune in to find out why.
Why.
What's this? Chromatospore
camouflage. There you go. Hey, look, got it all on his own. Got there all on his own.
Primary education level. Here we go. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Ravener operative, if you can retain any cover saves, you can retain 1 additional cover save. This isn't stacking with improved cover saves from Vantage Terrain. So, Rush, you touched on this a little bit earlier ago.
Were you avoiding the word cumulative?
I wasn't brave enough after what just happened with Chroma.
I saw you not wanting to press your luck. You're like, I've got Chromatospore. I don't want to risk that other word. That word's got.
Ben had another round in the chamber. He was ready to go, and I was like, I'm not giving him this.
This one's stupid good. This one's super good, and you don't need it. And guess what? It's so good that you don't even need us to explain why it's good. Take it.
It's good. Take it.
Yeah.
Next.
5-up save, auto retains, a shebang.
Yeah. You need a 5. You need the auto save on a 5-up. Yeah.
Metamorphic Flesh. So whenever a friendly Ravener operative is activated, it regains D3 lost wounds. Pretty good.
I'd love this to be counteraction as well, but it is sadly just activation.
I thought you were going to say 2D3.
Yeah, take it. Yeah.
2D6.
Yeah. 2D6 plus 2 feels about right, don't you think?
Decent. Then we're talking. No, I mean it's not bad. It makes everyone basically 24 wounds roughly. You know what I mean? It's
which is awesome. Good. Which is sick. Nice. Yeah.
We all know there's not much more demoralizing in a game when you finally got some damage through and then your opponent just starts healing stuff. There's nothing more, especially if you only just managed to get one hit through or something. It can be very, and they're just doing it for free every turn, every activation. That'll make me cry.
Yeah, I mean, you want this to go from 9 wounds to 10 wounds, basically. This is your last chance to go up and not be injured. So any chance to get that at all, lovely. Just
Great.
yeah.
Yep.
Acid Blood, another interesting one. Whenever a friendly operative is fighting or retaliating, whenever an attack dice inflicts damage on it, roll 1d6 on a 5+, inflict 1 damage on the enemy operative in that sequence. So,
you can skip this one.
You know what? I was going to say that. So 5-up's so low, the chance.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, the damage, when we get into the operatives, the minimum damage on these guys is so high. The fact I would love to do the maths, but I actually don't think you need this ever. Like, I think you basically kill most things that are not elites in 2 hits regardless. And then outside of that, it's going to, I don't know. It's one of those ones where it's fun and it's very cool, but the actual usefulness, I'd love to know.
Into the 10 wound operatives, this might have some play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
you do 9 on the normal and a crit. Yeah. I think that's valid. Yeah.
And then maybe this becomes part of the conversation, but like it's definitely not an auto take.
But
yeah,
still
not an auto take.
See, this is what I wanted. I wanted a firefight ploy to basically mean that the acid blood automatically goes off. Like that would be, then it'd be maybe worth it for a combat.
Yeah, that would be sick. Yeah.
To be like, just it goes off for this complete activation. That would be nice. And then extends it to shooting within 2 inches. Like that's what I wanted, like highly acidic blood as a firefight ploy, but I didn't get it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the last of them, heightened senses. So once per battle, I like these ones. When rolling off to decide initiative, if a friendly operative is underground and an enemy operative is within 5 of your tunnel, you can reroll.
And it's on a Tuesday. Yeah. And if you had salad for lunch, and if your wife hasn't left you yet, then you can play heightened senses. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of hoops here. I always love a good once per battle rule, but then to have 14 other caveats after it feels. Look,
it's still great though.
This
is still good. I'm really kind of memeing. It's still good. I'm just memeing.
A lot of these things will probably still happen because it's like you're probably always nearly going to have an operative underground. And especially towards the end of the game when it's really clutch time, your tunnel's going to be covering a lot of ground. So to have an enemy operative within 5 is pretty. Should be achievable.
Yeah, I think end game. This is you'd be getting this end game. Turn 3, turn 4, definitely turn 4. If you and then sometimes that is literally decide the game. If you're like, I need this activation to win. I think it's nice. I think it's actually pretty solid. But it's you're not going to get this until turn 3, turn 4, unless they're super aggressive.
Yes, yeah, I agree. So it's one of those ones. I think anytime you can have some play on the initiative roll, it's good for you. Like it's big for your team because we know, as you were saying, Russ, late game,
totally,
those rolls get more and more important, especially with the shenanigans that these guys can do with falling units back, heading back in the tunnel, as again all that stuff we sort of talked about. It can really then, start a big sort of snowball of other things that enables you to do if you can snatch back that initiative. So nice, good overall, pretty good equipment. No real complaints overall. It's all got a place.
I like the equipment. I think the equipment's decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
excellent.
right, let's jump into the units. Well, this is what we came here to party and see. We've got the big dog first, the Ravener Prime. So he's got his tail blade. So he's a 3-inch or 3 Jim Crimmins shooting attack with rending, silent, 3/4 damage. So not bad. And then scything talons, what we came here for, their close combat stuff. 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5 rending.
Look at that, guys! I think it's funny. We predicted that in our last podcast that the rending clause would give rending. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Good guess, us.
They've also got the Neuro Predatory Crest. Whenever determining control of a marker, treat the total APL stat of enemy operatives that contested as 1 lower if at least one of those enemy operatives is within 3 inches of this operative. No, this isn't a change to the APL stat, so any changes, blah, blah, blah. We know that sort of shenanigans. So your opponent must spend 1 additional AP for that enemy operative to perform the pickup and mission actions. And your opponent cannot reroll their attack or defense dice for this operative. For that operative. So
it's very good.
Sick, super dope.
Also got Synaptic Link, so a strategic gambit. If this operative isn't incapacitated Roll 1d6 and compare the result to the number of the current turning point. If the result is higher, you gain a CP. Equal, nothing happens. And my favorite, less, inflict damage on this operative equal to the result.
You're going to get 2 CP again.
This feels like such an old world rule. Like it feels like they ripped this out of the pages of old world. And hey, I'm here for it. I like that.
I love it.
Bring a little bit more gambling back.
Perils of the Warp,
Same,
you know.
yeah.
It does feel like that, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we want some scattered
cool.
dice.
I like it.
We want some. Now with the overall
I love
stats,
scattered dice.
As we know with these guys, your whole team 3 APL, 7-inch move, 5 up save. These guys have 21 wounds. The others have 20. So obviously because it's the leader, they get the extra pip wound there as well. So look, you're always taking this guy, and that's probably going to be what we'll say about all of them because you have to take.
Yeah, I'd say he's an auto take. It's a bit of a hard decision, but I'd say he's probably an auto take. Yep, I'd have to agree.
Any other notes on this guy? We're happy just to jump to the next one.
Tail blades are cool. 3-inch rending silent.
Yeah.
It's cool. So like you can counteract, go to conceal, and then blap somebody with your tail. It's fun. It's good.
We've seen how much too, like goremongers are sort of shown us too. Like I was quite dismissive of, was it wrist blades or chain blades, like those 3-inch shooting attacks. You're kind of like, oh, but if you could do that, wouldn't you just fight close combat? But being able to do this kind of stuff, not take wounds yourself or plink off some damage or finish off an operative, there's a real place for those shorter range weapons. I reckon I was quite dismissive of them early doors.
Yeah, and then rending is a hell of a keyword to have in shooting. Like it's great in fighting too, but like, dude, rending, when you roll 2 natural crits, it basically becomes AP2. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's pretty nuts. So rending is a hell of a keyword. Yeah,
so there you go. All right, moving on to the next fella. We've got the Ravener Fell Talon. So again, we're back to some extra shooting attacks added to this one. So you've also got a pincer tail. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/4 damage, range 3 silence. And then you've got the toxic glands, which is the other shooting option. This has a 6-inch range on it and also poisons thing. So this is obviously this operative's bag is it has poison. Not the Death Guard poison. Probably a little bit
quite as good.
Not quite as good for these guys in the resolve attack dice step. If you inflict damage with any critical successes, the operative this weapon is being used against gains 1 of your poison tokens, if it doesn't already have one. And basically, when that operative is activated, D3 damage.
Do you think it should have been called poison, or should it be called like venom, just so that poison doesn't mean 2 different things?
Yes.
Like out of interest, just if someone says this is poison and they go, well, I've played Death Guard, I don't need to read the poison rule. They don't realize it's not poison. I feel like it should be called something like venom or biotoxin, just because poison, it's already a rule, but it's different to this rule. It's just a little bit like it's no longer a universal weapon rule. It's now distinctive. It just sets a dangerous precedent that silent for these guys doesn't mean what silent means for someone else, because poison doesn't.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
I agree. It creates unnecessary confusion between, as you said, what you think you know about a rule and going, it's the same rule, but it's slightly different this time.
I'm being annoying, obviously, but like in a dream,
we know. Hey, brother, we know. Stop right there. We know.
I know I'm annoying, but it does feel like because poison already means something, it shouldn't mean 2 things. In a game that uses keywords. So I would prefer to see something else, but it is slightly worse poison than Plague Marine poison, which is valid. I think Plague Marine poison should be more, poisonous.
Virulent.
Yeah, virulent. It's better and worse, isn't it? This one has the baked-in D3. I think this operative is great. I think it's awesome. I think Toxic Glands, the shooting profile, should also have lethal 5. But that's it. That's it for me. That's my only note. Love it.
Because that's it on the close combat attack. Speaking of, it does have lethal 5 up and shock on these guys as well. So you're hitting that poison more regularly in close combat. Shock is always really, really nice in close combat as well. It's also got.
It is hard to poison with these guys.
Yeah. Toxic Lunge is so good though.
Yeah. So select one enemy operative within 2 inches of this operative. Alternatively, if this operative is underground, select one enemy operative on your tunnel. Inflict D3 plus 2 damage on that operative, and it gains 1 of your poison tokens if it doesn't already have one. This operative can perform this action while underground. This takes precedent over the normal burrow rule. So very interesting. Doesn't need to be on the battlefield.
Yep, super cool. And this is
time of
he
poisoning.
also does. Yeah, he also doesn't have to be engaged. We've seen a lot of rules like Toxic Lunge where it's the flail, the wing the bing bong guy for Felgor and for plagues, and you have to be on engage for that. But this guy can just be on conceal. So he does it on conceal, boom, pops it. He counteracts, boom, pops somebody else. So, like, some cool play here. So this is the real strength of this team, right? Once you see the data sheets, you're like, man, this is a bunch of beef to chew through. And a lot of ways to mess with your opponents. This is where the team really starts to shine.
This rule is the strangest rule to me because reading it, your operative doesn't actually show up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just pick a model that's this guy's underground. You just pick a model. You activate this guy. You say I'm going to use Toxic Lunge because obviously normally you can only perform Burrow, but as it's stated, you can use this present over the normal Burrow rule. So you're underground. You Toxic Lunge. So then someone, let's say, on one side of the board next to your tunnel gets D3 plus 2 damage, and then your guy can then turn up at a different point.
Yeah.
I know. I love it. It's great. It's such a cool move.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It does in some ways. Again, if we're just talking thematically, doesn't make sense. It's like he stung the guy over this side of the board, but then went over here and fought this guy.
Yeah,
he's running really quick.
Yeah,
I really like
he's running real fast.
What the hell, man? What the hell?
Yeah, it's like, dude, chill. But
chip damage is huge with this team. So much chip damage that they could just throw willy-nilly.
Yeah, I think this guy is because it is so hard. Like, not so hard, but it is difficult to guarantee that you're going to get poisoned. The fact that you have to do the crit, this guy can just be like, boom, you've got a poison token. So if there is a target, you're like, I need this guy down into elites, for example. This guy might become a little bit more of a key operative to be like, I'll poison him and I can go over here and bob a point, or I'll poison him and I will engage this operative over here, or pop up and shoot. Maybe I poison 2 operatives in one turn. And it's just sort of like he might become something of a hero, a Chad into those elite teams, or even the non-elite teams, because you might be killing them with D3 damage on it.
I like.
So I do like it.
Nymphadoro on YouTube has just said he thinks poison doesn't really work for the Plague Marines either, that it should be rot or infection. I think there are also some great words. Pestilence, good notes. I always like for Death Guard is another good word.
Yeah.
It should be like bubonic feculence.
Yes, that's it.
Like they have such good words.
But the problem with that is Reese wouldn't be able to pronounce it. That's the problem with that.
That's so. In a lot of ways, I
feel like he's been called feculent so many times. He must have been able to pronounce that one. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, that was he told us in confidence. In confidence, he told us one time that was his mother's nickname for him. So yeah.
My little bubo. We heard it a lot. Like he gets it.
Oh, I love you, Reese. I love you.
My family's so sweet. We really love each other. Moving on to the next operative, you jerks. The Tremor side is next. So this guy here, he's got the pincer tail like the others, so the little 3-inch sniper attack. Scything talons.
He's also having a bad hair day.
Right, yeah, he's not really.
I like him.
Didn't love him either. Scything talons, 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5. No special rules on the weapons. No bonuses.
Yeah, this is a good note because hey, what are his second set of arms? What do you call those guys?
The ticklers.
The rending claws.
The rending claws.
Oh, sorry,
why doesn't he have rending?
Surprising.
Why doesn't he? It feels like an oversight. Maybe he'll get it in an FAQ. That'd be fun.
But he does have some. He has some special rules. Has some bonuses. So Subterranean Ambush. So once per turning point, after an enemy operative performs an action in which it moves more than 2 inches and ends within 2 inches of your tunnel. If this operative is underground and he's either ready or hasn't counteracted during this turning point, you can interrupt that enemy operative's activation to use this rule. It's not very wordy, it's fine. If you do, activate or counteract with this operative as appropriate, but during its activation counteraction, it must fight against or shoot against that enemy operative, and cannot do so against any other enemy operatives until it does. If this isn't possible, this operative's counteraction ends. And then after this, if things are still alive, continue as normal. Resume the action.
What? Ending within 2 is such a bummer there, isn't it?
Yes.
I feel like this rule's got so many stipulations that I think this is the rule that's going to be the friend killer. Because, like, at what point do you interrupt them? Because if they go if they've moved more than 2 inches and they end up on your tunnel, do you wait until they place the model and say, okay, now I interrupt? Yes. Or do you wait until they move anywhere within 2 inches and you go, hang on a sec, now I interrupt? Because I think if they're within 2 inches of your tunnel, your 40 mil base will mean you'll be able to get within control range of them. Effectively, I think that's basically what that means. You can be touching your tunnel and be within control range of them, which I think is the intention. So that you can always be like, well, I charge and I fight you in combat, which I think is probably what you want to do, because 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 4, 5, even without Rending Claws, Ben, is pretty damn tasty.
Intercessor, yeah.
But yeah, exactly. But it does feel, and the thing, if you're on your tunnel, you're going to be ceaseless and bent. And the thing is, you haven't performed burrow, so you're not going to be balanced and ceaseless. But you'll be ceaseless, hitting on 3s. That pretty much means you probably get 4 hits guaranteed, almost. And you probably don't need that many, so it's pretty decent. So I do think this is one of those awkward ones where, it is going to be, any of these moves does feel a bit snide in casual play. But it will be quite a powerful deterrent for your opponent. This is basically the last operative you activate every turn. Although, to be fair, with is counteraction. This isn't an action. Yeah, this isn't an action point to do it. You just turn up and then you get to attack. And I'm sorry, if you haven't performed a mission action, you can then burrow for free. Like, I don't understand how powerful this move is. You can turn up, attack. And then if it's your counteract, this isn't an action. You attack for your counteraction. You haven't performed a mission action. You burrow for free. Yeah. And as long as you haven't gone outside of your, you know what I mean? As long as you can still get within your tunnel, this dude just turns up, attacks you, and then goes back underground again.
Yep.
Nuts. And this isn't an action, so the next time that does, bitchy trapdoor spider. It's nuts. It's I think this dude is your last activation every turn, just because you hold that power of boom, he's going to come out and get you. Don't come near my tunnel.
Yeah, and then he's also this plays well with the hypersensory hunter, which basically means he'll play the whole game on conceal. He can charge on conceal as long as it performs a burrow action during. Which again, just an interesting little footnote there. Like it seems like maybe he could have had charge for conceal, but whatever, it's fine. But yeah, he can basically play the whole game on conceal, which is fun. Sorry, Reese, what was that?
I was going to say, what do you guys? You raised a good point there, Russ. When we talk about rules like this, and I know the Corsairs have got one as well, which is those interrupt. I think Wormblade's got one, like those operatives who can interrupt and countercharge.
Phobos.
Where does it come in, that line of a gotcha moment versus, well, that's my rule? Because if I warn you about it and I go, hey, don't do this, because if you do this, I'll do this. When that's like, because otherwise you may never get to use those rules if you warn. Like, they are inherently a gotcha. That's how they work.
I think those teams. I think we talked about this last edition, but I think it's still valid this edition. I think those teams have to be played almost tournament-like, even in casual play. Yeah. Which does mean it feels like if you pick that team, for example, Novitiates, when they had the blinding light, blinding aura, as in you declare that you shoot me, you can't shoot me because of, that kind of stuff, or the Phobos, you go into my line of sight, I can then shoot. Basically gives them guard. I think to be fair to the player you're playing against, you have to play it like a tournament and be like, oh, I messed up, but I have to let you take that shot now, because otherwise I've just take backsies basically ruin the Tremor Scythe.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think it's just more. Yeah, I think it's just more to the point that Kill Team is a competitive game. It's not designed to be a casual game. I think teams where they have interrupts like this kind of reinforces that it's not a friendly game. You're playing this. And there will be some feel bads. It's, I love it. And it's a sweaty game. And I love getting the sweat on with a game. But it's teams like this where you're like, you kind of have to play sweaty. Yeah. And sometimes you might not be in this case. Don't pick one of these teams to play a casual game with, because in order to play this operative to its actual potential, you have to be sweaty. You have to be like, you can't take that move back.
Yeah.
And some people don't like playing that.
you finish 2 inches with it, I'm going to do this, and you go, oh, okay, I'm just going to nudge him just out of 2 inches then of your tunnel. You know,
it's like, but he wasn't.
Oh man, let me tell you what I had that experience at a.
Is it Dr. Zero Hour?
No, this is not Dr.
Call
Zero
him out.
This is not Dr. Zero Hour. Dr. Zero Hour is a lovely. This was not a local, but I played him, and every single time I was like, I was playing Plague Marine. So what ploy was it? But now I'm blanking. It was the same exact situation where I'd be like, okay,
yeah.
You place there. Okay, that means I'm going to. And he goes, oh, in that case, I'll just move him back. And he was a nice enough character. And I was winning, so I let it slide just because like it wasn't worth the fight in that moment. But those sort of interactions are a real bummer.
Yeah.
Because like it just you don't want to have to be that guy where it's like actually can you put your toy back because my toy has my toy can only do this fun thing if your toy does that sad thing. So it's sort of a bummer.
Take your hand off the piece and go like
it's that
move.
I think. The operatives like this, I'm in two minds about them. Because I don't like them in a way that I like. It doesn't become like a fun game. It's not like don't worry about it, relaxed, easy going. It forces you to play a more tournament style game where you're like, you can't take it back because otherwise, what's the point of me having this operative? I might as well have taken a warrior if you're not going to let me use which is built for. So it's a weird one, but there's a few teams like that have those kind of, you kind of have to play it with a different mindset, and I could see both sides of things, but it's a weird one. It's a weird one.
All right,
great operative for a tournament game though.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's what you want. You want those things in a tournament, but you said playing against it, you could say, be a bit of a friend maker or breaker. All right. Next, we've got the Ravener Venom Spitter. So, interesting operative. This is your gunner type operative, and it's a pretty decent weapon this guy's packing. We got the pincer tail, so if you just want to have some fun and do a silent profile, hey, go nuts. But really, you're here for the Venom Bolt. It's got a blast and focused version. The blast is 1 less damage on the regular damage at 3/5. Range 8, blast 2, poison. On the focused, it's 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5. Range 8, piercing 1 with poison. This brings us back to what we talked about earlier, which was Distend Dorsal Sac, which is a 1 AP action. Until this operative has shot with its Venom Bolt or performs the Burrow action, whichever comes first. All profiles of this weapon have lethal 5 up, have 1 added to their attack stat, and range 8 removed. That makes it very
lovely.
Yeah. Imagine like this guy seems. This is another backbreaker. This is a backbreaker friend killer moment where you pop up out of a tunnel, break 3 operatives' cover lines, and hose them down with 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/5, blast 2, lethal 5 action. Like that is a backbreaking. Oh my god, it poisons too.
Poison poison as well. So lethal 5 up with the poison.
So like. Yeah, I mean, I love this team. I know we've said we've had some questioning takes, like just questioning some of the choices. But man, what a cool team! Yeah, this is back. Once this guy pops out behind your line and hits you, that can be backbreaking.
Yeah, great opera. But I do like that thing, especially with the 3 AP team. This is what I guess the game things I like about a 3 APL choices is those things you can get. Like it's very much like some of the sniper operatives do have that, focus fire or. I know, hold your breath while you're shooting, which makes the attacks better. But I like that on 3 APL operatives where we're only going to shoot once, but we get to make it powerful, or at least there's those choices to make. I really like that dynamic with a 3 AP team, and this removing range restrictions is huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, great operative.
All right, let's move on. There's nothing else to be said. Good operative. We like it.
I mean, solid dude.
The Wrecker is up next. So
the home wrecker. Hide your husbands, everybody. It's the home wrecker.
This is your tank, really. This is big difference here. It's got the 4-up save, so must be noted. A little bit tankier, a little bit tougher. It's got the bone mace as its shooting attack, 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/4, range 3, piecing 1, still silent, so not bad. The Scything and Crushing Claws are here. 5 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5 with Crush. So what does Crush do? I hear you ask. Well, Crush, whenever you strike your opponent, roll off, adding 1 to your result if the operative this weapon is being used against has a wound stat of 9 or less. If you win, inflict damage on that operative equal to the difference between the dice results to a maximum of 3 additional damage. Glad that's simple.
Awesome.
But it's
That's
great.
a fun rule, dude.
Yeah.
That's super fun. In my opinion, it's super fun.
Rule. Yeah.
And also good.
More fun rules.
I like the caveat too with the 9 wounds or less. Like, I think we've seen that sometimes a bit like the RBDs with like they're trying to arrest people. It's like, well, you can't arrest a Space Marine. And this is cool. It's like, well, tougher operatives, it's, it's not going to be effective against, but it's very cool. It's like thematic.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Also got Reinforced Carapace, so normal and critical damage of 4 or more inflicts 1 less damage on this operative as well.
Love it. It's not melee, it's range, it's melee, it's normal and crit. It's not limited to the first one, it's just blanket, carte blanche, Reinforced Carapace. I mean, it's solid. He's already got a 4-up save. This dude is, he's sticking around.
Yeah, really leading the charge, isn't it? I guess this is the operative you're putting out there to do the work early doors, sitting on objectives, and tanking around, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has the potential to 2-tap a Space Marine. You know what I mean? Like, you need rolls to go your way, but like that's something to be said. Like that's pretty crazy. Like, now what's gonna happen? They're gonna roll a 6 and you're gonna roll a 1. That's written in the book of the Lamb's Book of Life. That's what's going to happen. You have that is a canon event. You're gonna roll a 1. They're gonna roll a 6. But just the hope that one day maybe you'll deal an extra 3 damage. Like
the dream.
How about
is beautiful.
eat 8 damage, like one-shotting something. Like, this guy's awesome. I freaking love this model. I love his lobster claws that he has as well. Yeah. And just knock out of the park. I love this guy.
Nice.
And the bone mace. I don't know if we touched on this. His little tail job situation is piercing 1. Yeah, that's pretty fun.
That's very nice.
It still retains silent as well. So AP1 silent, like 3/4, still putting through some hurt. I said especially those non-elite teams. You're dropping dudes pretty consistently with that. Awesome. All right. Lastly, but probably also leastly, it's the warrior.
Yeah.
We bring it up the rear. It's got the pincer tail, so still with the silent attack. Scything talons, no special rules, much to Ben's disappointment on those scything talons, but instinctive behavior. Whenever this operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against a wounded enemy operative, or an enemy operative that performed the fallback option during this turning point, this operative's weapons have lethal 5 up. That's a little.
I know we talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this early doors. It just doesn't feel like enough because it's the difference between 1 and I know it's not really the difference between 1 damage, 4 and 5 damage because obviously it means it's much harder to save. Yeah. So it's much more likely you actually put damage through. So maybe it's better than I'm thinking it is. It just doesn't feel like it's enough to make you want to take this operative over the 4 specialists we've just seen. That's the problem.
Yeah, and like if you're Games Workshop, I imagine the business suits of the operation would like to incentivize people to buy multiple boxes.
Exactly.
Right? So here's what you do, and when you have 5 operatives, you want them every single one of them to feel cool. So here's what this guy needs. Number 1, get rid of those Scything Talons, and his second set, give him Scything Talons and Rending Claws, so he has lethal 5 baked in. Boom. Change number 1. That's cool into Felgor. That's cool into certain things where you want to hit those breakpoints. Number 2, he gets to interact with tunnels with like 3 or 4 inches instead of 2. And this is a real choice.
Yeah.
That sometimes you take this guy. Yeah. And then he's an operative that you might take. That's the fix that he needs.
They've done a much better job this edition with making warriors across most factions interesting, which is fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
Because as you said, it's a great business decision because it means, well, I need some warriors, I'm going to get a separate box. But at least from the play perspective too, it means you are doing some list building or list tailoring your team to different opponents and different situations, which I always think is really good for the game. as opposed to I'm taking this and that's it, and forget it, set and forget. I like having those things, but yeah, this one just feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity. It just, mind you, the lethal 5-up, I think will happen a lot. Like, this team deals out so much chip damage across the poison and all the different extra ways they've got to deal it out. You probably, most times, you are dealing with operatives that are going to be giving you that lethal 5-up. But as you said, it's just...
But still...
It's just not enough.
Yeah,
it's just not enough.
I like, even if you just give them lethal 5, why make it have to be against a wounded?
Yeah,
I
just don't understand.
You don't need lethal 5 on a wounded operative, dude. You don't need
it.
You don't need it.
Got him. You're doing 4 or 5
like
damage.
The Night Lords.
Got him.
Yeah, it's like the Night Lords warrior. It's the same thing. Like, if you're shooting a wounded operative or a 7 wound operative, if you're fighting or shooting, you get lethal 5. It's like, dude, who needs lethal 5 against a 7 wound guardsman? You 2-tap them no matter what. Like, what are we doing here? So
they do need something else, don't they?
Yeah, it feels a little strange. So my proposed fix: give him rending claws baked in, and then allow him to interact with tunnels with like a 3 or 4 inch. And now he becomes maybe he's an auto take. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this could have been the cool operative that could also be the one that lets you do the extra tunnel, you know, like the operative that has its own tunnel.
He gets to pop up. Yeah, that would be excellent. That's even better. I like that better, actually.
So it's like, doesn't have the extra necessarily killing bonus powers it does, but gets to pop up where you want them, and that's like, as you said, out of 6 inches.
Once per game.
Maybe it gets fly.
Yeah,
so you like it because it's skimming under the surface.
Yeah, so they just
it actually gets fly, so you can ignore terrain, so you can pop up and also ignore terrain.
That'd
be cool.
Unreal.
That'd be super cool.
I like that, actually. Yeah,
all of these things are not happening.
We're available, guys. Hire us. We're available.
We have the answers. They just don't ask us. That's that's the big thing.
It's fair. It's fair. Really.
And it's fair. Yeah, to be fair. Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. That's the team.
They're awesome.
I think our closing thoughts, and I think that's the thing. We obviously, a lot of the time when you look at these teams, you do highlight and pick up a lot of the things you might not like. But I think this team hits me in the Wreckers feels like huge amount of fun, huge amount of like interest, like such an interesting team to play. Maybe not winning it all, but still well worth a run and going to be heaps of fun to play.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a real. I just think that there's going to be a set way to beat them, and I'm not just going to come out immediately. But I think once people realize, because you know when people start playing Goremongers and they're like, well, I just need a threat range, but it's an insane threat range. You've got a threat range for like 9 inches or something ridiculous because they can increase it. I think this will be easier to threat range against, and I think people will figure out that you just don't attack them on the tunnels and you wait for them to come to you and then counter, because there's 5 operatives as well. Obviously the benefit is presumably you're going to be playing a team with more operatives and you just try and shoot them. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting because obviously Angels of Death, sadly I feel bad and I don't know whether or not it's a good thing, but I think Duelist is still going to be solid against them. You got Shock and Duelist. Any team that's way too skewed towards melee, which this team is, and it's not a complicated melee team, it's just a solid melee team. But like anyone who's got 5 attacks hitting on 3s is a threat in combat. Like you can parry. Like I mean that you don't need special rules. Like we talked about, you can get ceaseless if you're on your tunnel. 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 4, 5. You don't actually need ceaseless.
It's pretty consistent. Just hitting on 3s is still going to be very, you're going to have moments where you're like, I've rolled all 2s and 1s. But realistically, you look at it 3 or 4 every time.
Yeah, I mean, 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 4, 5, you're an assault. We use that the definition of great in combat. But you're killing anything that's also not an incentive with 3 hits. Like, you only need to get 3 hits. You can miss twice and still pretty much kill everything in the game that isn't an elite or a borderline elite like a Goremonger with 10 wounds. You can kill anything that's not 10 wounds reliably. It's going to be an interesting team. I'd love to see what they do into all the teams out there. Like once we start getting tournament results and see how they actually handle it, I'd love to know how they're going to do. Because it feels like there's a couple of teams that are super like melee focus, like your Raveners, your Goremongers, and now the Raveners. And I'd love to know in the pecking order where they stack up. And again, like, would you as an elite player, would you go duelist? I think you probably would, but would you go shooty duelists and just use it to parry out, disengage, and shoot twice? I think probably with a 5-up save, you're gonna be in trouble still from shooting.
Yeah, double tapping.
If you don't have to take damage, why would you? And as you said, that gives you the best of both worlds. You can double shoot, they tag you, you use duelists to get out of the situation.
Yep.
So how do you play them, Ben, Reese? If you're playing into a team that knows to stay away from the tunnels, what are you doing to still be a threat? How do you play this team? Or do you just double down and run tunnels up to one objective, claim that objective, and then have other twos? Because you only need to take 2 objectives to effectively win a game, right? You don't need to take all 3.
Yeah.
This team, to me, screams louder than anything else. It screams storm objective. Yeah. Loud and clear. That tunnel, a lot of the times, is making a beeline directly for your opponent's home objective. You're going to get there. You're going to be on conceal on that tunnel, in cover, even if it doesn't have cover on it, re-rolling your cover saves, and you're going to try and own that enemy home objective. To me, that is how I see this team played the best. Overrun is interesting, but let's say you get the dream off where you get the kill and you burrow down under. Well, you're no longer on your enemy's half side or whatever. So like, there's just, and champion looks good on paper. But champion is so, like, all you need is a whiff to lose a game on TAC Ops. And then all you need is your opponent to sometimes just measure out, like, the threat ranges. And I do think we say all these things, it's easy to measure around. There's going to be a high cognitive load to play against this team in a way. In one way, no, because there's only 5. But in another way, it's like, watch out for the 2-inch thing. Did I get this exactly measured correctly? All those kind of things. Where's the tunnel coming next? This team to me screams storm objectives. You're going to own that home point, and you're going to say, come move these 40 wounds standing on the point. And if you can do that, maybe we have a game on our hands.
And as you said, you can measure around and all that stuff, but their counteract's still so powerful as well. As you said, they're taking technically your objective away. You're having to change how you might want to play. You're having to push out further down the board. Like you will have to play a certain way to win, and that may not always be. And your margin for error is small. Like if you make those mistakes, you will get punished. These things will take your units off the board for every mistake you make.
Yeah.
So, I like it. I said, well, we're
in
a good spot. I think I love the models. I think fantastic home run on the models. So I must say again, thank you to Games Workshop for sending us the review copies of this. So we got to paint them up and look at the rules and obviously get some games in with them as well. So and Russ, obviously you have your bat rep up at the moment. So if you are interested in seeing the game, head over GFN Game. There is a great game there between the Raveners and next week's we're going to be next week's guests, if you will. The Mechanicus team will be covering as well. I forgot what they're called. What the hell are they called?
Battleclade.
Battleclade. I was going to say Hunterclade. I'm like, Servitors. No, Battleclade Servitors. That's it. They're on that channel as well, fighting the Raveners, and that's a very, very awesome bat rep to check out. But we're going to cover them in the same detail we did today as well next week. So if you're interested in them, if they're your thing, we got you covered.
Come back.
Exactly.
Come back, please.
Check in next week for the Battleclade rundown.
Yeah, so very excited about that. Thank you as always to all the legends in the chat. It was going non-stop today. Laps going in the late attender. Welcome coming in. Jamie Santiago, Harrison over there on YouTube, and obviously all the legends we shouted out earlier as well. Thank you for contributing through the chat throughout the show. We love having you guys in there. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much. I really appreciate you lending us your ear holes. Make sure you do take the opportunity, if you get it, to come join us live on Twitch and YouTube each and every week. I say every week with a bit of a wink. We do our best. And make sure, too, if you want to support the show, head over and check out the Patreon Casual Wargamers. We also have the merch store over on Fourth Wall there as well. So head on over to check that out. Thank you, as always, to Ben from Battle Brothers Tabletop for being very enthusiastic today.
Thank you to Russ from GFN Gaming for being here, for showing up, and not being on vacation.
Wow. Wow.
Even when you're trying to say nice things, Ben, it just comes across.
It still
so
comes out
backhanded.
Thank you for Reese for herding this army of stray cats. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you.
We nailed it, lads. I love it. We will see you all next week. Thank you so much. 07s in the chat.